Hello everyone. In this video, we will figure out how to find equilibrium GDP on a graph. Okay, so in the previous slide, we calculated numbers in column 6, aggregate expenditure, by adding up consumption, investment, government purchase, and net exports. And we got GDP levels in column 1. So we plot numbers of GDP on the horizontal axis right here, and aggregate expenditure, these numbers on the vertical axis right here. Okay, and then we get the blue line which slopes upward. This is what we call aggregate expenditure function, including consumption, planned investment, government spending, and net exports. The slope of the AE function is MPC, marginal propensity to consume. And the vertical distance here is what we call autonomous expenditure, which includes investment, government spending, and net exports. Okay, to figure out equilibrium GDP, we might need the help of the 45-degree line, because every point on 45-degree line has equal distance to the vertical axis and the horizontal axis. Okay, so every point on the 45-degree line is a possible equilibrium point. The equilibrium point should be on the 45-degree line, should be on the aggregate expenditure function. So when these two curves meet, and the 6,000 is the equilibrium point at which aggregate expenditure equals the real GDP. Okay, so any GDP level higher than 6,000, okay, for example 9,000, this is the total output and this is the aggregate expenditure. That means companies are producing too much. Only part of the output are purchased by consumers. That results in an increase in business inventory. So to avoid those surplus, companies will decrease their production goal and the economy moves towards its equilibrium point, 6,000. Okay, 9,000 is too high in the economy. While on the other hand, 3,000, so at this GDP level, total output and aggregate expenditure right here, which is higher than the total output. Consumers spend more on the goods and the services. So that results in a decrease in business inventory. To restore the original level of inventory, companies will increase their output, hire more workers, and the economy move towards its equilibrium point, 6,000. Okay, and let's say if in this economy all the resources are fully employed, labor, land, and the capital, and the GDP, the potential GDP could be 9,000. Okay, 9,000. That means we could produce goods and services of $9,000 market value. While on the current GDP level, which is below the potential GDP, only at 6,000. And the difference here is what we call the GDP gap. That is the difference between current GDP and the potential GDP. So how to close this GDP gap and the economy restore its full employment? The government can do something to correct this, and they could achieve this goal by increasing government spending. Remember, government spending is part of the autonomous expenditure. So if government spending increased by this much, and AE function will shift up with new AE function, the 45-degree line, this could be a equilibrium GDP at its full employment. Okay. On the other side, if the current AE level is too high, and the government could decrease the AE level by decreasing government spending, and AE function shifts down, and the new equilibrium could be lower at 3,000. Okay, the new equilibrium GDP could be lower at 3,000. So that is the idea how could government intervene the economy and change the current level of aggregate expenditure. That's change the GDP level in the economy.